Welcome back to my little channel. Now, we've seen the Summer of Love happening in Seattle. We've seen how peaceful protesters are destroying Portland. And this is going on in other places in America too. The Bolshevik is actually moving out of their safety centers and going into places where the population will not support them, but they are still being supported by a lot of people within the population that they terrorized. Why do I say this? Well, here's an article from the New York Times. Abolish the police? Those who survived the chaos in Seattle aren't so sure. Well, obviously they're not so sure because they saw what happens when there is no police. So far, you would say, yeah, okay, this makes sense. Yeah, it does. But if, and the link will be provided so you can do it yourself, but if we read the article, then it's full of small little things that we should worry about. For example, this story of the man called Faisal Khan, who basically had his store behind the Chaz, the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone. He had problems going to his shop, and yeah, I'm slowly going through it so you can read it yourself. And the truth is worth it, according to the New York Times. Unfortunately, the New York Times does its best not to tell the truth, because what do we read here? In the wake of the killing of George Floyd. Oh, wait a second. That's a foregone conclusion. Have we already been told that he indeed died because of the actions of the police? Well, there are reports out that he was on a cocktail of fentanyl and other drugs. There are reports out that he himself claimed that he couldn't breathe even though he wasn't being held down. There are videos out there at this point in time that show he's actually asking the police officers to hold him down. Yeah, okay, he also keeps telling that he can't breathe. But no, the police were racist. Yeah, but there were two other black people in the car with him. The police were exceedingly friendly. Hell, one of the police officers seems to have known George Floyd. And if you listen to the way he talked, I'm not going to show you the video, it's out there, you can do it yourself. But he seemed reluctant, might not be the best word, but almost as if it's like, come on, man, why do you keep doing this? That sort of attitude. There wasn't anger in the police, even though they had every reason to be scared, to be careful, because the behavior of Mr. Floyd was, at best, erratic. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't want him to have died. But there's more to the story than, yeah, but the police officer sat on his neck, with his knee on his neck. Well, yeah, okay. That in itself doesn't have to be deadly. Let's be honest, if he suffocated because of the knee on the neck, it wouldn't have taken 9 minutes. So it must have been something else. Never mind, the police could have handled it different, because obviously it's always the police that have to do things different. But even the New York Times, in the wake of the killing of George Floyd, not of the death of George Floyd, the killing. So the New York Times, even though a few seconds before that, the truth is worth it, are spreading their own truth. I'm sorry, I have to click that away because you don't care about that one. Now, there are people who are calling out for the abolishment altogether and closing down precincts, which is what happened in Seattle. But yeah, it really didn't help them so much. And then there is this part. In Minneapolis, Seattle, Portland, Oregon, many of those businesses owners consider themselves progressive. And in interviews, they express support for Black Lives Matter movement, but they also worry that their businesses, already debilitated by the coronavirus pandemic, will also struggle to survive if the police department and city governments cannot protect them. So here we have people who are basically losing their livelihoods because of protesters like Antifa and Black Lives Matter. And still, they speak out in favor of Black Lives Matter. Now, this is something that the more read up people out there will recognize, and this is the reason why I made this video. And I'm trying to, because obviously I don't have the book myself, or at least not here. I'm trying to find the piece in the archipelago, the Gulag archipelago. Sorry, English is terrible. Because in that book, they write about people who have been condemned by the system. The system punished them to go to the gulags. And these people will blame themselves. They will not blame the system. They will not blame communism. There must have been something they could have done different, because obviously the system is good. And here we see the same thing happening. Well, no, I mean, it's not Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter is good. Well, my livelihood is being destroyed. The police are being scared away from us, pushed away from us. But no, it's not because of Black Lives Matter. The system is good. Communism is good. The mindset, the mind rot that comes with this sort of society, where we will thank the person putting their boot on our neck and ask them if they can push down a little bit harder, because obviously I did something wrong. And we have to accept this. We have to understand that this is the new normal. This is how it is. Now, the article itself is quite interesting. Yeah, I'll have a link. You can read it. There is something inherently dangerous, scary, when people will start defending the ones that oppress them. Because they have to. Because if they don't, other people will also attack them. Obviously, they're not kulaks. They're not the wealthy rich. No, they are victims too. So, in this case, they are victims, but they're also victims of the progressives. But the progressives can be forgiven because, well, it's not really their fault. They're the one burning down stores, but it's not really their fault. No. It's the fault of the police. It's the fault of the politicians. Now, funny enough, I agree. But it's also the fault of Black Lives Matter. And it's also the fault of Antifa. People, please be careful. Do not fall in this mind rot that you start defending the ones that are actively out to destroy you. If you haven't read the Gulag archipelago, I would advise that you do. There are plenty of online sites that actually have it for free. Now, you will find sites where there are communists trying to tell you why the Gulag archipelago is such a bad book and it's so unfair to communism, etc., etc., etc. Yeah, sure. It's easy to defend someone when the writer is already gone. But I'm rambling now. Like, share and subscribe if you so inclined. Criticism, as always, is more than welcome. I really look forward to hear what you have to say. And be careful of the mind rot that is progressivism. There is nothing wrong with being nice and kind to people. But the tyranny of the moral do-gooder destroys everything it touches. I hope to see you all next time.